Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today was round 7 of the Rilton Cup. We are nearing the end of the tournament and it's getting super exciting as I'm playing higher and higher and higher rated opponents. As of now, I have 2 wins in a row. So now it's time to prove whether I deserve to have a norm or not. Because if I win this game, I have a big chance. Well, I still have not faced enough international masters because I need to face 3 in this tournament and I've only faced 1, even though a lot of my opponents were international masters strength. Some of them were 2400 rated, so yeah, they were just FIDE masters like me, but they were 2400 rated too, and I am not. But okay, anyway, so in round 7, I faced Axel Falkefal from Sweden. He is rated 2383. I've seen 3 different numbers. He's been like going up and down in rating a bit. Like I guess he's like very active, but this is what it says here. And he is also a FIDE master. And yeah, I saw that he plays the move d4, e4 on the first move. So I prepared for both, but he ended up playing d4. So after d5, c4, c6, I go for my Slav. And after knight c3, e6, he went for the move g3. This was not expected. He was mostly playing, at least in the database, there was bishop g5 mostly played. So g3 came as a surprise, but I did make sure to double check my file because I figured that in my last tournament, I had so many of my opponents play this against me. So I thought, yeah, that means that there's a big chance he will go for this again. And that's exactly what happened. D takes c4, bishop g2, b5, knight e5, and queen b6. So I know there's something with a6, but I cannot remember it very well. But I think queen b6 is just fine. Short castle, bishop b7, and here b3. So here, apparently I'm supposed to take on b3. But I ended up playing knight to d5, and that turns out to be a very bad move. I thought I was a genius. I thought that was a brilliant move because after knight e4, f6, so the knight has to move. And my next move is I will play c3 or c takes b3, and I'm going to save that pawn, and I'll be up an extra pawn. I'll have an extra pawn, and I'll have a good position, so nothing to worry about. Well, it turns out that there's a crazy line here. White can play the move e3. I have never seen this before. You take on e5, and now there's queen h5 check, and apparently if the king moves, there's b takes c4, b takes c4, and white just has a good position. In these kind of situations, I really wonder if a grandmaster would play moves such as e3. I have never seen this before. I don't even know what I'm looking at right now because bishop h3, and I guess you have some attack on a pawn on e6, and pawn e5 is hanging too, but yeah, I don't know. When I saw the fact that knight d5 is a blunder, I was shocked, but it turns out it's a blunder because of this. There's some piece sacrifice going on here, and apparently white gets a lot of play, and it's so hard to understand why. But anyway, this is what happened, f6, and my opponent went back knight f3, and now I do have a pleasant position. But the problem is that I'm up a pawn, but the evaluation says it's equal, which is never a good sign, because if you're up a pawn and it's equal, it means you're not better. It is that extra pawn means nothing. So that is quite painful to see, because I really thought I had a really good position. I played c3, a3, and here I made a crucial mistake. I mean, the computer says it's fine. Playing a5 is completely fine because the idea is simple. I don't want to allow my opponent to play b4. But what happens after this is a big reason why things started to go downhill. So here, instead of a5, I should have played with knight to d7. Because you will see, just keep an eye on that knight over here. Just keep an eye on that knight for the rest of the game. And I want to see if you notice anything with that knight. But anyway, I had to play knight d7 here with the idea that I'm preparing to move c5. So, of course, my opponent is going to try to stop that, but I can play a5 here. And I guess there's knight c5 attacking the pawn on e6, and I probably have to end up giving up that pawn. But there's a lot of play here for me, and yeah, it's not such a big deal to allow b4. But of course, during the game, I thought it was a big deal. Also because there's like e4 in the air. I really didn't like allowing knight c5. So that is why I went for a5 instead. And now my opponent went for bishop h3, and I did not expect this move. I did see it somewhere in my calculations, but I didn't give it much thought. I thought it should be completely fine. But as I was thinking more and more about this position, I started to realize that maybe I am in trouble. So as you can see from the clocks, I am ahead on time. I was feeling really confident here because if my opponent is spending so much time, that's always a good sign, right? But I also had to spend so much time on my moves because it was so complicated. So I went for a move f5 here, which turns out to be a big mistake. So the pawn e6 is hanging, and apparently I was supposed to play the move knight a6, and I'm giving up that pawn, or b4 is also fine. My opponent pointed out after the game that instead of f5, perhaps b4 was the better move, and yeah, I agree. I mean, to see what happened, you will see what happened in the game, but after seeing what happened, I guess it was the right decision to sacrifice a pawn on e6. But I could not justify that there's going to be a bishop on e6, and I'm already not castled. The position is opening up more and more, and it's difficult to see how I will be able to develop my pieces. It's really not a pleasant position. So that's why I felt the need to play the move f5, knowing the danger ahead of me, because what happens next is, these moves I was seeing, I was expecting them, but I didn't really quite know how to counter them. So this is why, if my knight was on d7, I could have played the move c5. But now that my knight is not on d7, f5 does not make much sense. C5, sorry. c5 does not make much sense because d takes c5, bishop takes, knight takes, queen takes, and bishop takes e6. And yeah, this is just a sad position. I really don't like this position. So that's why I went for f5, and that's why I should have played move knight e7 so that there is some support and I can castle along very soon. It's very common to castle queenside here with black. So here my opponent for knight g5, c5. I tried to open up the position and open up the bishop here, but now my opponent strikes with the move e4. And I see this move coming, but I don't know what to do about it. And I thought, let's complicate matters with h6, but my opponent found the right idea with knight takes e6. Had my opponent taken that knight off on d5, apparently it's still fine, more than fine, but I thought I would have good chances here because my bishop gets centralized on d5, but I guess there's a small problem with bishop takes f5, just a tiny problem there, and my pawn structure is terrible. So yeah, knight takes e6 makes a lot of sense too. Queen takes, e takes d5, and here rook e1 is being threatened, so queen takes d5 makes most sense. But now rook e1 check, bishop e7, bishop g2, and now my opponent is threatening to play knight h4, and this is a bit awkward. This diagonal is quite vulnerable, you know? So that's why rook a6. So I went for rook a6 because I was seeing knight h4, knight g6, and I thought, well, let's try to stop that idea somehow because I don't see any other move here. But my opponent for knight h4 anyway, queen d7, bishop takes b7, and my position is simply collapsing because I've captured on b7 back, there's knight takes f5, and my bishop is lost, and this is a completely losing position. So I thought, let's try to complicate matters with rook f6, queen h5 check, king d8, bishop g2 goes back, c takes d4. I was hoping my pawns would be of some use here, but my opponent found all the right moves. Bishop f1 stopping me from playing d3. Well, if I don't play d3, then I might as well resign, so I played d3 anyway. Bishop takes d3, queen takes d3, rook d1, so now my opponent is winning the queen for a rook. And I thought, well, it's resignable, but I just want to see how my opponent outplays me. So I lost the queen, the knight comes in, and if you are careless, you can... It's easy to throw here. I mean, of course, it's always easy to throw in a game of chess. But if you're very careless and you just start playing moves that are good looking, but you don't really give it much thought, then this pawn can get dangerous. So that was the one thing I was holding on to. And also with the knight on e5 now, it's a little bit loose. So I thought, let's see what happens. Rook d1, takes, king c8, queen d3. And also I was playing my moves quickly, right? I was low on clock, so... yeah, there's one thing I don't like is really stalling when you're already like losing, right? So, I mean, if I'm in the winning position and my opponent is stalling and spending a lot of time on his moves, then I'm completely fine with that because, you know, I'm in the winning position already. I don't mind this. But yeah, if I'm in a completely losing position, I don't really see the point in thinking for too long. But anyway, I thought let's try and see what happens, but obviously this is completely lost. The queen is coming closer, and here I saw that it was getting turning into checkmate very soon, because after I resigned after knight f7 check, but after king d7 there's queen d6 check, king c8, and queen c7 checkmate. So that was the end of this game. So yeah, tough game. I really thought I had a good chance today. Out of the opening, I was feeling really confident. My opponent was spending a lot of time, so I was feeling really good overall, but it was just not good enough. It was just not meant to be. I mean, my opponent played the opening, or after the opening, he played really well, and he punished my mistakes. And yeah, I wish that I developed my knight, because as you can see, this knight over here on b8, it never moved. For 37 moves, this knight never made a move. And that is very depressing. And the knight, that's why I would say the knight is a very big reason why I lost this game. Because had my knight been developed either to d7 or even a6 was fine, then I had a better chance of doing well in this game. But it was not meant to be. That knight on b8 is upset at me, and I paid the price for it. Anyway, too bad that I basically don't have a chance for Norm anymore. I mean, I would need a miracle, because I lost now, and I still need to play 2 international masters or 2 women grandmasters to have enough played against those title players, enough title players, because I need to have 3 and I only played 1. But I also need to win. So theoretically speaking, it's not impossible, but I think practically speaking, it's so difficult to find an IM in this pool of people, because I've been playing so many FIDE masters that are supposed to be international masters, just like my opponent of today. He was also supposed to be an international master. But yeah, it is what it is. I'm gonna try to do my best tomorrow, because we still have 2 rounds remaining, and yeah, this is not the time to give up. So wish me luck, and I'll hope to see you guys in the next video.